hip width apart, perhaps wiggle the toes, draw the arches underneath the feet up slightly, almost so that you're kind of ready. You're almost on the balls of your feet and you're almost ready for some sort of action. Then tuck pelvis under. Find the pelvic floor and draw in, that front bit, that back bit. Then TVA, tummy button, draw that back to the spine. Then thinking about the rib cage, see where it's sat, maybe knit the ribs together, and then think about the length at the back of the neck. So we're not kind of elevating the rib cage so much because that tends to arch the lower back. So knitting them together a little bit, or crochet, whichever one you're into. Then just take the shoulders down and back, length there at the back of the neck, crown of the head up towards the ceiling. So just the eye gaze down, not necessarily the head looking down at your screen. Pelvic floor TVA, pulling in then 100%. And I want you to notice now, if you pull them in, do you squeeze your glutes, interestingly? And I want you just to forget the glutes for a minute, so you might need to relax the feet slightly. Just go with the core muscles, pelvic floor TVA. So just let the glutes relax slightly. Pull in, hold 6 seconds. Ready, pull in. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow release. And maybe palms facing forwards, it just helps open the chest. And then again, pelvic floor and TVA, glutes a little bit more relaxed. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow release. One more time. Pelvic floor, TVA pulling in, get that pelvis tucked under. 6, looking forwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow release it down to 50%. And just be aware and check you're not holding your breath. So we're just breathing normally, and then just take a few little shoulder rolls. So lift the shoulders up to the ears and just circling them back. Notice as you lift your shoulders if you lose your TVA. So keep those ribs knitted together and keep pulling in on the core. A little bit of a nice squeeze on the shoulders. 2 more. Taking them down and back, tuck the elbows into your sides. Check they're not going back, and we'll go for a scapular set. So just take the thumbs back in space and then come back to center. And obviously we've been doing this on our sides with or without the weight recently, so I don't know how it feels doing it together now. Maybe feels like you have worked on them individually, shoulder. For me this feels a little bit easier, I don't know. Maybe because I've put the weight on it. Yeah, thumbs up for Joe. Breathing out as the thumbs go back. And again, keeping that awareness there, the pelvic floor, the TVA tucked under, and just the glutes a little bit relaxed. We don't want the glutes to take over too much, just on a couple of these moves. Just 2 more. Breathing out. And the last one. Try and just get the shoulders a bit more relaxed. Lift one arm up level with the shoulder, then ear down to shoulder. Then the shoulder glide, reach to the side of the room. Then recenter, then lifting up, hand on hip, and then take that side bend. And then release, and we'll go to the other side. And again, we've been doing these side bends with the weights in our hands, so again, it'd be interesting just to see how it feels now without them. Maybe you feel like there's more range, and it's more about kind of thinking about, so keep switching, thinking about controlling like pelvis, pulling in the core, because without the weights it's a little bit more floaty and kind of stretchy. Get that ear down into that reach, recentering, reach the arm up, over. And again with the glutes, just let them switch off for this. Get your feet nice and relaxed so they're almost kind of melting down into the mat. And just taking it at your own pace so that you exhale over into the side bend. So it's a nice release for the shoulder, for the neck, into that huge side bend. If you want to add in, you could just bring in a little bit more on the side bend. So as you recenter, coming over instead of hand on hip, you could go for that real big streamline position, either kind of pull the fingers, pull the hand across, just to get a little bit more extension into the side bend. So up to you how you feel. Hips staying still. Keeping that pulling in on the pelvic floor, that TVA. And then a bit of a tug if you choose. Just 2 more. You can always put in another breath and then just again just breathing out maybe on the glide section. If you feel like you need to put in that other one. Last one. Breathing out. Big side body stretch. And then release. Now we're going to go into our squat. So get yourself a nice stable base. Hips back in space. Hands forwards. Squeezing the glutes on this one. Rising back out. Just go for a simple squat. We can add in some arms coming up and over in a sec. I'll just put my video down a bit. So keep it going. I'm thinking about the shoulders coming over the knees. And maybe, because obviously we've been doing that with weights before, maybe this feels a little bit easier now. I don't know. If you've been thinking about the weights and things. So just check the knees don't pronate in. Knees stay hip width. Adding in if you choose. Circle the arms so you get that nice opening on the chest and maybe going up onto the toes. Then coming back down into those squats. Should get like a bit of a release there on the lower back as well as your hips go back into space. Challenge yourself on the balance as you're going up onto your toes. Try not to hold the breath. And you can think about turning the palms out and around and then palms come together over the head and pressing palms down as your hands come down. 3 more. Notice as you go up onto your toes, you're still drawing in on that TVA. And last one. And breathing out. Now just a super slow roll down, so chin into chest. Slide the hands down the legs. We're coming down vertebrae by vertebrae, bending the knees a little bit here. And then slowly uncurl, chin into chest, unstacking the vertebrae, and then opening out, and maybe palms to the side, open the chest. Then again, chin to chest, drawing in the core, super slow. And you can almost kind of just really flop when you get down onto the bottom. So if you can get your chest there and your knees, your thighs, uncurl. Maybe looking up, baby back bend if you choose. Just 2 more. Using your own breath. Breathing out. Try and relax the feet. Breathing into left. And opening just at that top point. Last one. Slowly uncurl. So take the weight onto one foot. So into a balance and just close your eyes, count to 10. And I know I pretty much do this one every week. Again, if you've been playing and doing things with the weight, see how it feels without weight, because obviously we were holding weights in our hands. For me, it feels a little bit easier, I don't know. So using the big toe, squeezing the glutes, and then just 10 little heel lifts. So lift up the heel and lower. Doesn't have to be very high with your lifts. Check now, you're pulling in pelvic floor TVA, you're squeezing that glute. I mean, actually just holding, sounds a bit strange, but holding the glute and putting your hand at the front, like just the TVA is quite interesting to kind of feel like you've got these connections going on. Shoulders relaxed. And again, how does this feel? Because obviously the last few weeks I've been doing all of this kind of stuff. So kind of just coming down, stripping it down to a bit of a basic thing. Then just switch sides. Again, it's close your eyes, count to 10. Use the big toe. Squeeze in, glutes, pull in pelvic floor. Shoulders nicely relaxed, jaw relaxed. Once you've done your 10 seconds, just those 10 heel lifts. Keeping all those connections there, so from the feet coming up to the glutes, rooting with that pelvic floor, sending those messages up to the brain. Small little lifts as well. Just check that foot's parallel, it's not kind of turning out, because we want to train it to be in a nice alignment. Just a couple more. And then just a gentle twist, and you can maybe kind of shake the wrists with this one. A little bit of kind of like elbow, like kind of a bit wobbly. And just soften the knees. And if you choose, you could almost twist around with the foot as well, so you get that the hips can have a little kind of wiggle there too. Looking behind. So from there, we're going to go down to a downward dog. So meet me down there, because I'm going to do a lot more with the mat today than standing practice. So just get myself set up on there. Step forward. So just sending hips up to the ceiling. Spread the fingers, spiral biceps towards each other. So if you can get your arms around your ears, feet hip width apart, and maybe you're just going to walk through your dog, stretch out your calves, stretch out your hamstrings. If you're struggling to get that sort of upside down V shape, just bending the knees and thinking about sending the hips up into space, because maybe the body just needs a little bit more time to find that shape. A little bit more time or practice, sometimes with the downward dog. So a little option here, you could take one hand and just see if you can touch the opposite ankle and then reset. So there's a little bit of upper body, and it's also a slight twist in there. So breathing out, reach and touch. And that sometimes can help to send the hips a little bit higher. And if you feel like you can do that and you want a little bit more with that move, you just take that reach and you look through, so you can actually hold on to almost the lower part of the calf muscle, kind of the back of the ankle, and just look through. You can look through your dog. So just a couple more if you're going to go for those touches, otherwise it's just one more breath in downward dog. And then we're just going to step the left foot forwards to a high lunge. Come up, so take a balance. So just taking a moment there with the balance. I've got to adjust my camera, sorry. Check your hip width, so you're not kind of on a real narrow balance beam. So you're a nice stable base. Push back through that back heel, so that back leg's nice and straight. Then just bringing both arms up level with your shoulders, and we're going to take the left hand, so it's the opposite hand to the leg you got forwards, all the way up and over into like a bit of a twist. So the opposite hand, yeah, that's exactly it. Then here, just feel like you're going to sit, like really open the chest, so sending the hands as far back as you can and pull into your twist. Pull in pelvic floor and pull in TVA. And just take a couple of really deep breaths here. And it is quite tricky, especially to get this left hand kind of in line with the right hand. One more deep breath. Then you might need to self-adjust the back foot in slightly to straighten both legs. So it's again a bit like a calf stretch. Stay with your arms kind of open like this, because we're going to take left hand down towards right thigh. So there's another quite big twist into the body. So the left hand down to right thigh and reach right hand up to the ceiling. So kind of a different sort of twist to what we normally work with. Pull in the pelvic floor, pull in TVA. And again, just a couple of really deep breaths here. You could yogic breaths to send it down towards the tummy and then lift. One more breath. Then just kind of spin the arms back around, all the way back up to center. And then lower yourself back down, step back into dog, pedal through dog just a couple more times. And hopefully that left leg feels a little bit looser than the right. And then it's stepping the right foot forwards. Again, it's the high lunge. Get yourself hip width. Bending into the right knee. Nice straight leg on the left side. Feel the hip flexors stretch. Kind of square your hips to the front of the mat. And then again, we're going to go with these arms. So arms up level with your shoulders. Now it's the right arm reaching up and over. And then start to think about that stretch there across the chest. Working into that twist. Don't forget your core. So pull in pelvic floor, pull in that TVA. 3 deep breaths. And try and get some nice equal kind of inhale, exhale. So maybe counting, I don't know what you do, like on maybe 1, 2, 3, or maybe use 4 or 5. Really extend right through the fingertips. One more breath on this twist. Then again, you might want to self-adjust, just bring the back foot in and straighten the legs. Then it's the right hand coming down towards the left thigh. See if you can touch it there, and then reaching left hand up to the ceiling, eye gaze going up as well. For that really nice twist. And you should feel like you can really drop the right shoulder down and around. Still pull in pelvic floor and TVA. Pushing down that back heel. 2 more deep breaths. And then again, just cartwheel the right hand all the way back over. Come back down. Last time in your downward dog. So step back. Again, just pedal through a couple of times. Hopefully you feel a little bit of release there, hamstrings. And then just bring that downward dog onto all fours. Again, I just got to adjust the camera, so. Find yourself a neutral position on all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll just go to those really deep in-breaths, so those full exhales. We did them, I think, last month. So really think about 4 corners of the torso. And I want you just to feel like you're blowing up a balloon. Really fill out all those corners. So the bottom 2 sides of the ribs. And then like almost up right to the collarbones and both shoulders. And then the exhale can be pretty passive. So breathing in completely. And just nice long exhales. 2 more. Really sending the breath all to those corners. Last one. Now just be aware like of the crown of the head. We want to keep the crown of the head in line with the spine. So we're going to extend left leg. Extending right arm and breathing out, lift up into kind of your swimming move. And then just take your corners. So same thing as breathing into your 4 corners. Just take the left leg out to the side. Take the right arm, if you've got this space, over towards like level with your shoulder. And then recenter it. And then release. And then we go to the other side. Same thing. Extension. Try and keep the pelvis still. Pull in TVA. Then going towards your corners. Keeping that control because the leg will want to wobble and drop. And then recentering. And then releasing. And then we'll just keep going. So we're going to alternate. We're going to lift. Playing around with going around to the side, exploring the space. Then recentering. And releasing. And you can feel like as you're doing this with the glutes, you're kind of getting this lovely little stretch as you go around to the sides. And just notice if you're holding the breath. I'm holding my breath, but I think it's because I'm talking a lot. So just try, just remember to breathe. Option then if you want more of a challenge is to lift up that back foot. So it's a little bit more work with balance, especially as the foot goes round to the side. Recentering, keep squeezing in the glutes, keep focusing, particularly TVA. So where that tummy button sits, you're drawing that up towards the spine. Eye gaze just to the front of the mat. 2 more. Breathing out to extend. Last one. I've got this plant just tickling my feet. So release from there, and we're just going to go step the left foot forwards as a low lunge. Again, hip width. Allow the hips to sink down and then kind of suck the thighs towards each other. Draw in the core, pelvic floor and TVA. And just, you need a little bit of space either side of the body. Just turn the palms out towards the sides. Breathing in and then just take them over the head, round to the sides, just if you can touch palms together. Breathing out, lowering it all the way back down. And then just 3 more times, breathing in. Coming all the way up, breathing out, coming down. Kind of a nice kind of way to keep the chest nice and open. Be aware of the lower back, so we're trying not to arch too much here in the lower back. And last one. Should feel that nice hip flexor stretch and release. And then we'll go to the other side. So same thing, hip width, sink yourself down, then draw in the core. And then again, working with the breath, palms up, breathing in. See if you can touch the palms over the head and get your arms just wrapped around those ears. And breathing out, the shoulders really come down away from the ears. Breathing in to lift. Breathing out to lower. Keeping engaging with the core, not arching too much here with the lower back. We're sucking the mat up with that front foot. Last one. Keeping that length there at the back of the neck, crown of the head, shining up to ceiling. Okay, so step back. Come all the way down onto your front. Just relax, you can place your forehead on your hands. And we're just going to bend in one knee and just bring the heel up towards your bum and lower. So it's the single leg kick. So bending in the knee, and that the foot can be pretty relaxed for this. And then lower. Now bring your attention to your hips. And just notice if they're tilting as you do this. Try not to hold the breath. So take that connection with the pelvic floor, the TVA. Check you're not arching in the lower back, because sometimes that can bring in a tilt for the hips. And if you're feeling particularly tight, because obviously this is quads, you could just take a quad stretch here. So you can hold the front of the foot and just gently draw the heel towards your bum. And maybe just take 3 deep breaths in a stretch. I haven't actually done this one for a while, have we? So maybe quads might feel a little bit tight. And with this, you're thinking, with the quad stretch, thinking about pushing the pelvis, the hip bones down into the mat, perhaps swapping over. So pushing the hips down and forwards into the mat. Again, just 3 deep breaths each side. And then maybe go back to the single leg kick and just see if it feels a little bit better. Maybe it feels a little bit more still. So that you can push your pubic bone down into the mat. And with that, the hips then aren't tilting side to side. So forehead coming down to the mat, let the feet relax slightly, interlink the fingers behind the back. Breathing out, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, Take the hands down the body. Eye gaze down, and then breathing in lower, look to the side. So it's a neck release as well. Breathing in left, squeeze those shoulder blades together. A small back extension, and then looking to the side, other side. Try and breathe out left, breathing in lower. Adding in then if you choose, so it's breathing out to left. As you breathe in lower, look to the side, both legs bend, and the knees, and your heels come up almost to touch your hands, and then they lower it down, and then you're into that lift. And maybe you can start to touch your heels as your quads begin to relax. Just again, so paying attention to pelvic floor engaging. TVAs connecting, we're pulling in. Tummy buttons lifting or tensing off the mat. So keeping with this one, if you want to take a static stretch, so if you can hold onto your heels and lift up to what would be your rocking position. So holding onto your heels, lift your knees up off the mat. Draw your shoulders back. Eye gaze to the front of the mat. 3 deep breaths here. Still take the connection to the pelvic floor. So release from there, and I'm going to do a little bit more I'll work on the back extension. And this one is you're going to take your arms out to the side. So like an aeroplane wings. If you can see me on the camera too well. Forehead down. And we're going to breathe out, and we're going to just lift up the left wing. Look to the left. And then lowering it all the way back down. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, and then look up like a mini cobra. Then lower yourself back down nice and gentle. Back to your wings, lift up the right side. And lower. Take a mini cobra. Sphinx might suit you better, so you might just work with a Sphinx, which is where you've got your elbows down. So just whichever kind of works for you and your back. Then looking to the left, so it's a neck release as well. You got your left wing left. Lifting mini cobras. Thinking about the shoulders down away from the ears. Connecting with the pelvic floor. Lifting into the other side. So a bit of a challenge if you want it on the airplane, so see if you can keep both wings elevated as you lift one arm up, because often it's easier to do it with the other arm pressing down into the other side of the mat. So see if you can keep both elevated as you lift to one side. Keeping that crown of head in line with the spine on your mini cobras. Feet relaxed. Last one. So we're going to just do the swan dive now, which is interesting because we've just done a lot for lower back, mid back, thoracic back. So let's just see if we can work with the top part. Cactus your arms. Breathing out, lift head and shoulders. Keep the eye gaze coming down. Breathing in lower. See if you can be nice and light on the arms, adding in if you choose, lifting up the arms. Breathing out to left. Breathing into lower. Just 2 more, adding in if you choose. Breathing out to left, then extending, reaching forwards. Coming back to cactus and last one, because we've done quite a lot there in prone with the back extensions. Then bending knees, pressing yourself back up onto all fours, take a cat stretch. just to release everything out. Go really slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, chin into chest, tucking all the abdomen in, tucking the pelvis under, looking towards the knees, and just taking 3 deep breaths and the breath there right between the shoulder blades. Come back down to a neutral spine and then literally just drift the hips over to the left. So the stretch is just kind of playing there with the left hip, then recenter and then over to the right. So it's literally kind of just dropping the hips across and recentering, then very slowly over to the left again. Puts a little bit of weight through the upper body there as well, and the wrists and things. But just treat it like a nice gentle stretch there for the outside of the hip. So from there we're going to do a static hold on the front leg pull. So elbows underneath your shoulders. Pelvic floor in TVA and lifting up the hips. Option here, you've got your knees down and your knees hip width. The other option, you could straighten legs, push back down through those heels. Then drawing that pelvic floor and that TVA, big squeeze, particularly TVA. We're going to hold for 30 seconds. Crown of the head in line with the spine. We're only going to do this once because we're just mainly doing a big stretch session tonight, but keeping a little bit of engagement going for the week. So keep coming back to pelvic floor and TVA. And notice if you're holding your breath and just try and breathe deeply. Thinking about those 4 corners of the torso and all the sides of the rib cage. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees, sitting back towards the heels. This is your big release for kind of that whole sequence really on our fronts. Perhaps a little wiggle the hips side to side. See if you can just take your forehead down to the mat. Maybe bringing index fingers and thumbs together so you've got that diamond shape, just that connection, the left and the right side of the brain. Elbows dropping off to the sides, forehead down. And then again, the spinal breath. So taking the in-breath to the bottom of the spine, the coccyx, and see if you can send it all the way up towards the third eye, between the eyebrows. And just super long, full exhales. Three more breaths. So from here we're going to go to our side sequence. I'll just take a check on the time. So start with a twist, a little bit of that M shape with the knees. And if you can, tucking the sole of the foot into the other thigh, that sometimes can help get us into that right position. Then see if you can get yourself out right, because immediately I sit like this, I slouch. So then you get a little bit of a lift on the rib cage and then pulling in the core. One hand down. So the hand that hasn't got the leg sticking out. Breathing in, reaching up, breathing out. Super slow twist. This one's a release for the thoracic part of the spine. Breathing in, lift, and breathing out for the twist. Thinking about pelvic floor and TVA with this one too. 8 more. You can always have a pause as the hand goes through and it doesn't feel like it's going to go any further. Have a pause and just see if you can take a couple of millimeters further through by dipping that shoulder. Last one. And release. Bring it all the way down. Bend the knees. Feet up level with your hips. We'll move a little bit higher. I'm going to go for the clam. So heels in line with hips and shoulders. Pull in pelvic floor, pull in TVA. Lifting that top knee and lowering. And perhaps hand on hip, because obviously I've been doing the scapular set with this one. So perhaps hand on hip, just to see if we can control whether that hip was opening. And you can push down a little bit with that. Get the connection there with the glute med running around the side and the back of the bum. Notice as well, you lift your knee, don't lose TVA. So keeping that tension in there. Also a nice stretch for the neck. Breathing out, lift. 3 more. Then straightening out legs. Lift the top leg, lift the bottom leg, lift the rib cage. Arm up and over, sweeping it forwards. And then releasing it back down. So it's lift, lift, rib cage. Take it up, big extension. And then just sweeping it forwards and lowering it down. 2 more, lift, lift, rib cage. Reaching it up. And releasing it down. Last one, lift, lift, rib cage, take the balance, and releasing. Top leg, lift up hip height, flex that foot, side kick, so hamstring release, point the toe, bring it back. See if you can get that hamstring to 90 degrees, control that leg. Pausing if you want at that point where you can feel the hamstring stretch. 3 more. Try not to let that leg drop. Keep the squeezing in the glutes. Keep the connection with the pelvic floor. The TVA. Last one. And then release. Something we did last week, but we did it in a shuffle. Side plank to finish this side, and then we're going to go to the other side. Elbow under shoulder. Lift up, find a big star position. So I've gone elbow and I've gone knee down. Option, you could go side plank. 30 seconds holding, ready. Keep those hips lifted. Try not to hold the breath. Try and keep the crown of the head in line with the spine. Mine wants to drop. How does yours feel? Keep working with the star, keep working with the balance. 10, 9, 8, oh she's gone. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing it all the way back down. We'll go on the other side. So we start with the twist. So you'll probably find this is a bit tighter on this side because you left it for the second. So see if you can get your sole of your foot tucked into your thigh. Hand down. Breathing in left, breathing out. Gently thread through. Take a moment, see if you can get a couple of millimeters further. And then again, twisting back out. Very different sort of twist to what we did earlier in like high lunge and things. Breathing out as you thread through. One more. Then we'll lower down, we go to the clam, bend the knees. Head just resting on hand, heels in line with your hips, lift the top knee and lower. Might need to just self-adjust, press Pressing that top hip down, forwards. Find the glute med. You get it after 3 or 4. Just start feeling it. Then notice if your TBA is gone. So pull in pelvic floor, pull in that TBA. Breathing out left, breathing in lower. Four more. Try and look forwards, try not to look down at the knees if you can. And last one. Straightening legs, ready for the double leg lift. Lifting top leg, lifting bottom leg, lifting up the rib cage, lifting up and overextend, and then sweep and lowering it back down. And again, lift, rib cage, reaching up, big extension. Really think about the feet pushing away from the body, the hand, the fingertips reaching away, and release. 2 more. Left, rib cage. Breathing in, inflate those lungs, extend, and then sweep. Last one. Left, rib cage. Reaching up, big stretch, and breathing out, release. Then we went to that side kick. Lift top leg up, level with the hip, flex the foot. Kicking forwards to that side kick, point the toe, bring it back. Lots of control. So breathing out as you come forwards, breathing in to come back. Try and keep that leg up level with the hip. Kind of just exploring any tightness. Does this feel the same as the other side? Is it a little bit tighter? It's a nice release for the calf muscle, this with the flex and the point. Just check you're not holding that breath. And we kind of don't let the hips sort of move too much, so keep it a little bit static in the hip. 2 more. Then getting ready for that side plank. So whichever one you did before, whether you did the knee down, big star, or whether you did the straight leg version. Big star will go for 30 seconds. Again, thinking about this crown of the head. So crown of the head in line with the spine. So if you can see yourself, just if you can adjust yourself, get your spine in a straight line, which is tricky. Keep the hips lifted. Try not to hold the breath. Think happy thoughts. Visualize a starfish. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering that all the way down. And we're going to go onto our back. So get yourself comfy. Find a neutral spine. If you need to have a pelvic tilt, bit of a release. And we're going to go for our 5 sets. So knees, feet hip width apart. 4 toe taps, 8 pulses. And then a nice slow reaching up for an 8-second hold. Another throw at the back of the neck. You need to grab a cushion, just placing it under your head. Take your palms up so we get that opening on the chest for the toe taps. Right ankles behind the knees. 4 toe taps, ready. So lifting up to tabletop, lowering, 4 and 3. Try and reduce any tilting there in the lower back in the core. 2 and 1. Lift the head and shoulders, look to knees. Pulse up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide hands towards knees. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow release. Ready to go again. Maybe you're up on tabletop if you want to progress here. 4 toe taps. 4 and 3. Pulling in the pelvic floor. And 2 and 1. Lift and pulse. Tummies are still. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straightening legs. Reaching hands towards knees. Hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Palms 4 toe taps. 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach. Hold. Keep breathing. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. 2 sets left. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to imprint that lower back down. Pull in TVA. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten legs, reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Last one. Thinking about pelvic floor, thinking about imprint. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten legs, reach. 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Arms over the head. Full body stretch. Point the toes. Press the backs of the knees down to the mat. Squeeze the glutes. Pull the tummies in. Scrunching up the fists. Push the back of the head down into the mat. The chin towards the chest. Bring the shoulders up towards the ears. Take a big deep breath in. Breathing out. Just let all those muscles go. So just turn the feet to the sides. Cactus out the arms. And perhaps just slow roll of the head side to side. It's a nice, easy, relaxed release for the neck. So bending with the knees, and then we're going to go to our single leg stretch. We'll start with the heel slide, so slide one heel away, bring it back, hips still, thinking about imprinting lower back down, connecting pelvic floor in that TVA. If you want a little bit more, tabletop it. And then if you want to add in the upper body, palms together, just bringing that across to that bent knee and then recentering, coming all the way around. So it's like drawing around a moon, the top half of the moon, all the way around and then down to the side. So one of the shoulders draws up and then down and around. And then there, if you're up in tabletop, thinking about this knee that's and just check it's not coming across the midline. So check it's not drifting across as you do your rotation rounds. Keep imprinting. Keep connecting with the pelvic floor. Breathing out to lift. 2 more. Then placing the feet down, arms up to the ceiling. Turn the palms so they're facing out. Lift the shoulder blades up. It's a shoulder release. Then twist it back around. Press the shoulders in. Keep the back of the head down on the mat. So we're just kind of playing around with the shoulders. Pressing them in. Trying to get a nice little squeeze. And then lifting them out. Then bring the connection with the pelvic floor and the TVA in that move as well. So imprinting the lower back down and adding in, then take out the lift but turn the palms around, then take the arms over the head and try not to let the chin lift up at that point, and then circle the arms down and around the sides of the body. So palms turn out, then slowly little fingers go over the head. Notice that the length of the back of the neck stays there nice and long. Circling that all the way around. As the arms go over the head, try and knit those ribs together. Use the core muscles and the imprinting on the lower back. And then begin to get a bit of a lightness under the feet at this point. So if the feet have been heavy, see if you can get them nice and light. And you can add in, so we can double leg stretch. So we can always tabletop that, arms over the head. Extending both legs away. Take a really long exhale. So breathing out as you extend. Breathing as you come back towards each other. And maybe you can visualize like a cat just stretching, just opening, stretching out in the sun. My cats have been sunbathing loads recently. They love the sun. 2 more. Breathing out. And then placing the feet on the floor, arms T-shaped out. Breathing out, let both knees drop to one side. Nice slow spine twist. If you haven't got the space to T-shape, maybe cactus. Breathing in, recenter. Breathing out over to the other side. You can look in the other direction. It's a neck release, it's a chest stretch, it's a lower back release. Just as you alternate and you're kind of picking the knees back up to center, just drawing in the core at that point, just helps protect that spine. Imprint almost as you lift your knees to center. Two more. Take a quick check on the time and yeah, how we doing? We're fine. So come back to center. We'll take a hamstring stretch. So one leg up to the ceiling, other knee can stay bent. Try not to let the other knee turn out to the side. Just take a check you're not lifting too high with your head and your shoulders. And then just take a really nice slow circle there for the foot. So it's a little bit of an ankle release. Pushing away at the back of the knee to engage that hamstring. And then the other way around. And then we'll switch legs. Other leg up towards the ceiling. Same thing, a nice slow circle with the foot. Pushing away at the back of the knee. Try and be aware of the hip, so don't let the hip kind of tilt just to get a bit more stretch. So just try and keep the hips square. Circling the other way around. It's almost like a little MOT there on the leg muscles and the ankles. And placing the feet down, just walk the heels a bit closer to your body. Hands there on your hips, and just a slow pelvic tilt. Almost like a massage here for the lower back. Finding that connection with pelvic floor, TVA. As you tilt as well, you might even notice hip flexors and quads. Try and keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. Adding in, if you want, you lift up the hips. You take the arms up and over the head, you get that length at the back of the neck. Just think here about pushing the hips up, squeezing the glutes. And you could just take a single leg lift. I'm not going to do anything too tricky here. Just lift and alternate. And the control here is on the hips being really still as you switch them over. So you could almost go toes and then heels, so really slowly as you switch, almost like you were doing this move on a frozen lake. You didn't want to break that ice, so really slow and gentle as you switch. Hips stay super still, squeezing in the glutes all the time. Chin towards the chest, length there at the back of the neck. 3 more leg lifts. Try not to hold the breath. And last one. Bring the arms back down and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, lowering the hips down, hug knees into chest. A little rock or a circle with the knees. Then C-shape the spine to come and rock yourself up to a seated position. Then we'll do some rollbacks if you're happy, otherwise it's C-shape lower back down and then lifting chest up, shoulders back. Otherwise, come up to a hover with your feet off the floor. Hold on to your shins, rock yourself back. Come back up to seated position, hover. Find the connection with the core. And just a couple more. Finding that balance point. Last one. So coming up to a seated position, flexing up the feet, push the backs of the knees into the mat so the hamstrings are engaged. So breathing out, lower yourself down halfway, C-shape that lower back down, like you're coming down to your bubble bath. Lifting up, and then just see if you can touch the hand behind you. So it's a little twist. Recenter, other side, twist. And then again, lowering down. Control. Coming back up. When you come around for your twist, you can always use your fingertips here. Lift up the chest, take the shoulder back. So there's like a little moment there. You can always push with the fingertips, just to get that a little bit more upright. If you're feeling comfortable, all the way down, and then chin to chest, all the way up, into those little twists and lifts. It's almost like half a heart, what I've been doing for you, the heart stretch. So lifting up the heart, it's just halfway because we're putting in the twist. Keep the control. Same pace, all the way down, all the way up. Last one. Into that twist. A little bit of a push with the fingertips. Last time, lowering down, engaging with the core. Chin to chest, pulling in the core to lift, feet flexed. Crossing the legs in, facing this way, we'll spine stretch. See if you can get upright, maybe sitting on a block or a cushion. Shoulders relaxed, length at the back of the neck, palms together, and really push them together to stabilize the shoulders. Breathing in, get tall, and then breathing out, twist. Now go the other way to what you normally go, right? I always go the same way. And then breathing in, center. Now go to the normal first way. Breathing in, get tall. Breathing out, twist. Just notice now if the pelvic floor is engaging. So just see if you can still find pelvic floor and TVA even in this position. Keep those palms pressing together. And it's been a little while, but I would like to try a saw. So flex the feet. We're using our twist, so breathing in, get tall, breathing out into the twist, breathing in, get tall, and then breathing out 3 times towards the opposite foot. And then anchor out, and then to the other side, breathing in, get tall, and then down 3 breaths for each one of these. It's been a few weeks since I've done a saw, isn't it? Nice, juicy hamstring stretching. Again, keeping that pelvic floor in, that TVA in, just 2 more. Gentle pulsing. Bringing the feet together, palms together for Namaste.